Today, I'm honored to introduce you to Andrea Lee Rogers. Andrea is a mother of two brilliant young women. She's a world-renowned fitness entrepreneur, the creator of Xtend Barre, and the author of her incredible new book, Small Moves, Big Life. Andrea is without question one of the most kind, thoughtful, and passionate individuals I've ever met. She exudes strength, talent, hard work, dedication, and commitment in everything she does. She is one of the greatest and most inspirational coaches in the world, and she is a truly wonderful friend. And Andrea, welcome to the podcast.
You're going to make me emotional. That's the nicest introduction I ever said. Thank you.
I'm very, very blessed to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start. Who are you?
I'm emotional right now. I've been so much more emotional these days in my life. Who am I? I would say I'm a Midwestern girl at heart. So I grew up in a small town in Michigan, and I've carried those roots with me wherever I go, through a professional dance career, through a Pilates practitioner / educator, and as a mother and as an entrepreneur, as a friend, as a partner. So at the core of me, I am Midwestern kind of girl who has big New York City ambitions.
I love that. What misconceptions do you think people have about you?
I think that through the portal of social media, very much so that so many people think that you are very one-sided, or that your life has just that smoke and mirrors effect, right? Where people think like, oh, she has it all, or it was easy to get to where I'm at. I get a lot of questions of, oh, you have such a great life. You have so much flexibility. I want that. What should I do? I'm like, rewind 20 years, and then go after it. So I think people probably think that the trajectory of my career was this, and it was anything but. There was a lot of failures along the way, personally, professionally. And so, it wasn't and isn't always an easy gig.
Can you walk us through this timeline, rewind 20 years and just like start from the beginning? How'd you get here?
So I started dancing when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And my mother said I was always like a mover and a shaker, and I never stopped moving. And I also was born with slightly internally rotated legs. So I had to wear like those special shoes, to help turn out my feet. And the doctor said, hey, you know what? Ballet might be good for her. It'll help her with her external rotation. So for those reasons, my mom put me in dance, and it was just a natural fit. At the age of 4, I did a solo. Like by the age of 12, I was teaching dance and then choreographing. It was just my thing, right? And I was very lucky to discover my thing at a very young age. It was what it gave me energy. It's like my heartbeat, music, movement. And then I went to the real world and I became an adult, and I went to college, and I was in college for about a year, and I thought, okay, well, this dance thing, I did some of it, but I didn't hit my peak by any means. And I saw an audition, because I always followed the auditions, and I saw an audition in Toronto the next morning. And I was living in Michigan at the time, and Toronto was like a 5-hour drive. And I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, there's an audition for Disney tomorrow in Toronto. And it was like 3 or 4, and she was like, that's tomorrow? What time do you have to be there? I'm like, 8 a.m. She's like, call your dad. So I called my dad, and he's like, I'm coming home. And they packed the car, and we drove.
That's amazing.
That's the kind of parents I have. We drove, made the audition, and sat there and was like, what the hell did I do? I was with people that just were phenomenal. And it was really my first professional dance audition. But I gave it a go. I did my best.
You were 18 at this time?
I was 9. Yes, I was 18 when I auditioned. Yes,
okay.
18. And then we drove back home. They're like, I made it to the end. And then they're like, hey, we'll call you if you get it, right? So I get home the next day. I get a call. And it's the director. And he's like, do you do point work? On point, like ballet point work. I hadn't done point work in years. I was like, yeah, I do point. He's like, send me a video. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. So once again, I called my dad. He's at work. Now, this is back in the day, okay? So this is like, we didn't have iPhones to take a video, right? So my dad's like, I'm on my way again. He leaves work, meets me at the dance studio, brings this big old camcorder. Yeah. And I find my point shoes. I'm like, please let them fit. Like, thank God I still had them. There was some box somewhere. Put them on, and I just did my routine. And then we went right from the dance studio. We went right to FedEx, and I FedExed it overnight. So
Did it make a VHS tape?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
like this is old school. You know
That's
what I mean?
amazing.
FedExed it. So I get a call the next afternoon, and it's the director, and he's like, Andrew, I want to congratulate you. You got the job. And I was like, oh my God, great. I'm so glad you saw the video. He's like, I didn't even watch it. I was like, what do you mean you didn't watch the video? And he's like, I didn't have to. He's like, I already knew you had the talent. He's like, I just saw that you had the diligence. And so that was it. I got the gig. And that was a really big life lesson for me. I remember thinking, diligence. That's an interesting word. And I never used that in my regular vocabulary. And I remember really understanding the power of showing up and showing that you care, right? And like, there's a lot of talented people, but it takes that extra effort. And so that was a big lesson. And also a big lesson on how lucky I was to have such amazing parents that supported me and let me leave college a year in to go pursue my dreams. So I moved to Toronto. That's where I trained. And then I lived on the Disney cruise for a year. And that
A
was
year straight
phenomenal.
on that boat.
It was a year total contract. So
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah. But yeah. And that
Did you
was
like it?
You know, it was an interesting, I loved it. It was the best year of my like youthful adult life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 19 years old, living on my own in Toronto and meeting people from all over the world. It was a very strong opportunity to kind of step outside of my little Midwestern roots, right? And
Yeah.
learn what life was about because the ship was filled with only 10% of Americans and everybody else was from somewhere else. And it was wonderful to actually get to know people and understand their culture and get to understand what life really was and get more perspective at a very young age. Also, my room was probably, I'm not kidding, Jordan, from like you to me, that was the size of my room.
Jeez.
And you know my closet now, right? I had like 4 tops and like 3 bottoms and the bathroom was all a bathroom, a sink and a toilet all in one. Like, you know, you went to the bathroom where you showered. It was like the tiniest little thing, but you know what? It was the best experience of my life. It really was. It taught me so much.
And so then after Disney.
So then after Disney, I came back to reality and graduated, and I worked my butt off to graduate and still in the same 4 years. So I doubled up on classes, so I didn't miss, I could make up that year. And then I graduated. I'm like, now what? It's hard when you're a creative person and you're a dancer and you're doing all these things. And then you're like, okay, I have to adult now. I have to go adult. I have to be, you know, get a real job. So that's what I did. I got a real job. I moved to Florida with my ex-husband and I was like, I need to do something creative because I'm a creative person. I need to do something creative. So I found an advertising job. 6 weeks, my friend. I lasted 6 weeks at
You
that
just hated
cubicle. I mean, it was like, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I physically couldn't do it. And so I started to think about what fuels me, like what moves me, and it was movement. I went back to movement. I'm like, okay, I don't want to dance professionally or go back, you know, to New York. I was building a life in South Florida with my then husband, and so I was like, you know what, Pilates has been something that I've always done, you know, as a dancer to maintain my body, to stay injury free, and I always loved it. And I thought, this is interesting. You know, let me look into this, and so I dug right in. I went for a classical comprehensive Pilates certification and I fell in love with Pilates. I fell in love with like the scientific approach to Pilates. It really made sense to me as a dancer and how to move your body, how to activate muscles, to properly accelerate movement. And I was like, this is it. And I loved it. I just absolutely loved it. Thankfully, I was with a great certification program. I couldn't even teach a body for a year, right? Like it was a year of learning,
Oh, interesting.
shadowing, practice teaching, and then eventually taught my first class. And that first class, I'll never forget it. It was a night class. I wasn't supposed to teach. I had to sub it out. And I was like, oh my God, I'm teaching. They threw me in. And after the class, I had a high.
Yeah.
The same high that I was seeking that I got when I was on stage performing. And I hadn't found that in a long time. And I got that high. And I thought, wow, I can get that high from teaching a class and watching these other people feel the connection to movement. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay in this lane. This is for me. This is what I want to do. And so from there, I continued to perfect and practice my Pilates technique. I worked with some amazing people in South Florida to really learn and develop my skills. And it was a few years later that I started to miss my dance. So classical Pilates is very regimented. There's a specific order of exercises, specific reps. You follow that order. It is very on point. And for a reason, it's beautiful. But the dancer in me was like, Like what if we could do something else? What if instead of doing this exercise, we could do this exercise or do this? I just wanted to create more,
Yeah.
So I was teaching private Pilates clients at like 5 a.m. back in those days when I taught from like 5 until 9 at night. And I started to practice with them some dance things, like some dance movements. I'm like, okay, we're going to take the ladder barrel, which is a Pilates apparatus, and we're going to do some plies and releves and some batmas and some moves. And they were loving it. They were like, oh, that felt really good. That dance thing you did, let's do that again in this session. And so I just started sprinkling in more dance, more dance. And at the time, bar workouts were just starting to become a thing, like New York, LA, but not really in South Florida where I was at. But a lot of my clients were New Yorkers. And so they were asking about bar classes. And I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. I've taken some of these bar classes, but I can do it on my own. Like I can do it with a Pilates edge. So I started to work on a technique and started to develop a repertoire. And I went to the owner of the studio and I was like, I have an idea. I want to launch a bar class. And she was like, thankfully, she was like, let's do it. Let's do it. And so I launched the class and within a couple of weeks, it was waitlisted.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
okay, we're onto something here. And slowly then I just started to continue to build the repertoire. And the goal was I need more teachers. Like the classes were filling up. I couldn't teach it all. So I developed a certification program. And then from there, it turned into a licensing program. I started to license to various Pilates studios across the country. Started with one studio, Kim Manu knows, who is still a dear friend of mine, who was relocated from Hurricane Katrina to Florida. And when she moved back to New Orleans, she was like, girl, I can't live without this bar. I can't live without it. I'm going to open a Pilates studio and I want you to bring Xtend bar. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like, okay, I'll teach you, but how do we do it? And thankfully I had a friend who was an attorney. He created a license agreement for me and I started learning about licensing. And then that kind of just snowballed. I started calling studios. Cold calling, looking up people like, hey, I have a bar program. You want to license it? And then from there, it turned into franchising. So kind of just all snowballed.
How would you find these studios to call? You just like Google or?
Yeah, honestly, it was Googling and then word of mouth. It was like, who do you know that's in the industry that might want this program? And then it was just calling them and calling them and calling them and explaining and being like, hi, no, you can trust me. This is a great program. You're going to want to add this to your studio.
Did you get a lot of no's?
Oh, God, yeah, a lot of no's. But, I think the power of people is so important. And I think we sometimes forget how to lean into others in order to optimize your growth or your success. For me, Kim was an individual who believed in me. She had more experience than me at the time. And she really helped me along, right? She'd guide me. And like, for example, I'll never forget the first license agreement that I gave her that my friend created. He used another person's foundation for the draft and it still had their name in it. Oh. And she's like, girl, you got to take out the other person's business name. I'm like, oh my God, I'm mortified. But she was the type of person that was just so supportive and she introduced me to new people and she helped guide me. And it really helped me to build that confidence and knowledge and expertise and same with some of the franchise studios I worked with. They knew I was very green. They knew I probably had no business franchising at that time. And yet they believed in the power of my workouts, right? And they knew that the infrastructure of the business would come. And so, yeah, I was lucky to work with some really amazing women along the way that supported me and helped me to grow.
So you created Xtend Bar,
Yes.
this incredible program that combines bar and Pilates. And now, years later, you have two brilliant young daughters. You have written a book, Small Moves, Big Life. Tell me, how did you come up with the name for Small Moves, Big Life?
Yeah. Besides being small and trying to live a big life, my mom always said good things come in small packages. Truly, because that is how the techniques in the book, the principles in the book work, right? It's all about the power of consistency. And we talk about that a lot. And I've seen that in everything I've done in my life is that every time I want to get from point A to point B, it is not because I did some big, massive, huge life overhaul change. It's because I kept my eye on the prize and I did little things every day to get me to that point. And through that power of consistency, I've seen massive changes both in my life, my friends, my acquaintances, my clients, members across the globe. And so the goal was to take away that fear, right? I think a lot of the times when you think about change, it feels so far away. It feels so hard. It feels like you have to overhaul your entire world. And I'm like, no. You just have to do some small things. And if you do these small things consistently over time and you believe in them, you will see big changes happen. You will live that big life.
I've noticed that as well, just throughout my career, throughout my life. There was never one thing that I did that was like a massive shift that overnight something happened. It was just when you do these seemingly unimportant, seemingly minuscule tasks for literally years.
Ah,
That's like, if we're gonna look at the physical side of it, that's why taking pictures can be so great, because it's happening, but you don't even realize it's
correct.
happening. And all of a sudden, you look back a year, 3 years, 5 years, and you're like, "What in the hell happened?" Like,
How did I get
if
there?
if the me from 5 years ago saw who I am today, they wouldn't believe it. But oftentimes at that point, when in the present moment, you don't even recognize how far you've come. Like it's hard to appreciate how far you've
Oh,
come. So
yes.
it is those very small, very seemingly unimportant tasks done over a ridiculously long time that make the biggest impact.
I love that you say seemingly unimportant. Nothing in this book is rocket science. Nothing in this book is like, holy cow, I've never, ever thought I could do that. These are seemingly unimportant things that will absolutely change your life if done consistently. And what I've seen across the board, and I'm sure you've seen the same in our industry, everybody wants like immediacy, right? They want immediate change. They want to look different. They want to be different. They want everything to be different very quickly. And we have very little patience. And I'm big, like in my classes, I'm big on the power of mastery, power of repetition, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need a brand new workout every single day of your
Correct.
life.
Yes.
Back in the day, we did one workout video, one DVD, and we mastered the hell
Yes.
out of it. And we became strong masters of those movements, and we also allowed our bodies to have an opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to gauge where that evolvement came from. And nowadays it's like, okay, I did that one workout, Andrea, what's the next one tomorrow? I'm like, repeat.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Get
Like you
better
could do
at
this
it.
for a year and
Yeah.
have opportunity. There's nothing wrong with variety. I encourage variety. I think it's great. But I also think that we as a society are so quick for new, shiny, and better
Yes.
that we forget there is so much power in repetition. And the goal with Small Moves Big Life was to power that up, to say like, hey, listen, these are simple things that you can do every single day. They have changed my life. They've changed my life. These little things every day have completely changed my life. They have changed the lives of my dearest friends, my coworkers, members. Trust me, like just lean into the power of this small repetition. Give it a go. And don't expect immediate gratification. Like give yourself a little bit of time. Although you'll feel some things change immediately, you have to zoom out.
One of my favorite quotes from Bruce Lee is to the effect of, you practice one kick 10,000 times. You don't practice 10,000 kicks one time each. It's if you want to become a true master at something, you do the exact same movement over and over and over every single day until you get to a point in which you start to master it, and then you continue to. But I think you're right, and I get this all the time with workouts. It's like, wait, so I'm supposed to follow this same workout program for a month, which isn't even that long. You could do it longer.
Not
Yeah, you
long.
follow the same program for a
Yes.
month. Every week you try and get better.
Yes.
And then we can switch. I think the benefit of variety is more so because it can help people keep it fresh.
Correct.
But
Motivation.
yeah, exactly. Like, all right, let me try
Yeah.
something new. But I think with variety, there are ways to introduce variety without taking away from the basic foundations of what you
Absolutely.
need. And so variety can be a simple, just a teeny tiny tweak,
Yes.
just like to satisfy your urge for something new. But it's still this. It's a hinge pattern. It's a squat pattern. It's like if you want to, like, instead of raspberries, maybe we'll have blackberries because they're still high in fiber. Like just little tweaks here
tweaks.
and there that still allow you to focus on the foundations without just completely throwing everything out for something brand new altogether.
And seeing what works
Yeah.
and what doesn't work.
Yes,
If you're
that's a great
constantly
point.
changing, you really don't know if your body's responding because
That's a
of A,
great
B, or
point.
C variables, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to know. And when you just brought up that Bruce Lee quote, that's what we do as dancers.
Yes.
So as a dancer, man, I mean, how many times did I do a single pirouette, for years, until I could do a double pirouette, until I could do a triple pirouette. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That took from the time I was 4 years old, trying it, until the time I was 15 before
Yeah.
I could hit that triple or quad. That's how it is. Ice skaters, athletes, everybody,
Yeah.
right? It's that repetition. And when we see these great athletes and we're like, wow, we know what it took to get there. Not innately, but we see what it took. But yet when we practice things on ourselves, we don't want to take that same effort.
Correct.
We want to take that same approach. We expect, unlike professional Olympian athletes, to just get something change and have an effect right away. So I think the power of patience and consistency needs to be like something that is embedded from an early age.
Yes.
And starting to teach our young kids, how to step up and repeat, girl, step up and repeat, try it again, try it again, try it again.
I always think about Olympic sprinters who they'll train, never mind the entire life of training leading up to it, but 4 years for like 10 seconds.
I know. Don't you love those documentaries?
I love it. It's
I
amazing.
love them.
It's amazing.
The mindset.
All of the work that they do for 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
It's really incredible. And then to look at, never mind the strength and conditioning and the mobility work and the all of the stuff that they do, but just the skill of, for example, coming off the blocks. Just the skill of improving that reaction. Just that one little bit. Do you know how many thousands of times they're not even practicing running? They're just practicing coming off the blocks.
Correct.
And then they're practicing their stride length and their stride frequency. And it's these, we see it. And when we're not involved, we just see the totality of the event and the outcome. But and I know you and I are similar in this, it's like, I really like people to feel like an athlete. I feel like I want them to feel like I am not, look at me, I'm not a bodybuilder. Like, I'm not like a jacked and shredded dude.
I think you are.
I want people to feel confident in what their body can do.
Absolutely.
And in order to move like an athlete and to function like an athlete, I don't mean an Olympic athlete, but for you to become more athletic, we focus on these finer details. We focus on the performance, and you repeat it over and over and over. So
I love that.
You did just bring up something that I really would love to discuss with you. You were talking about, speaking with your kids now, and this is something that you have to instill and ingrain at a young age to be consistent. How do you do that with your daughters?
Yeah, well, seeing that their schedules are more complex and intense than mine, it's challenging. Like I was saying, I dropped off my daughter today for cheer practice at 7 a.m. and she goes until 5 p.m. Then she comes home and she has 2 hours of homework. And then, the expectations of these kids these days, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I did a lot when I was young, right? I did a lot. But I don't know. I don't feel like I had the same social pressures as the kids have today. So I try to not overwhelm my girls with expectations that are too high. I have high expectations, but I also make sure that they are able to just be kids and to like enjoy life a little and enjoy some freedoms. But in terms of repetition and creating that growth mindset, right? Creating a mindset of confidence, courage, kindness. Like that's what I always say. I want them to be confident, courageous, and kind. I try to, first of all, do what I say, right? I try to focus on being the type of person that I want them to be. So they have someone to look up to. And then little things, like we just started right now, we do 25 roll-ups every single night in our little storage room, cell carpeted. It's our room with Chetty. So we go in with our dog and we play with the dog and then we move our bodies every single night. And it's not like, okay, we have to do this. We go into a room that's like a playful room. We have the ball pit for the dog. And I'm like, okay, 25 roll-ups. And it's just a Pilates move. It's all core based. It's a full body move.
It's a brutal
move.
exercise. Yeah.
And I'm trying to help them to get stronger cores for their cheerleading. And so that's all we do. But once we do those moves, the 25 roll-ups, what happens after?
They want to do more.
They don't stop. I have a little trampoline in there, right?
That's awesome.
So they're jumping on the trampoline. They're practicing their jumps. They're doing their leaps. I'm stretching. They see me stretching. We stretch. We play with the dog. We spend like 30 to 45 minutes in this little storage room, which is so funny to me. We just have this nice house. We just decorate everything, and we spend our time in the storage room, okay? It's like, it doesn't even have closed ceilings. It's really funny.
I love that.
But it's like our favorite place to go, and we do it every single night. And last night, Lee and I came in, and Chetty ran right in the room. We didn't even turn the light on. I'm like, oh, we're not watching TV. We're going right into it. So it's like become our routine. So again, routine. I think the power of routine is huge. And especially for kids, you have young kids. Their routine is everything to them.
Yes.
Right? You prepare them in the morning a certain way to get up. You prepare them for sleep a certain way. So as they get older, I think embedding those type of routines and healthy routines is important.
Yeah.
So when they come home from school, we get a little like free time to unwind. Then it's right into homework, dinner, and then we have that family time together. And as they are becoming teenagers and they are teenagers, I think that time is even more crucial. So family time is important to me.
One of the things you said that I loved was you have very high expectations, but I know that your daughters also understand that you love them regardless of whether or not they meet those expectations. And I feel like that might be one of these important distinctions to make in terms of how do you get your child or your children, and I'm not an expert in it, I'm just pontificating right
Yeah,
now. My
yeah,
girls are
neither am
so
I. Right.
young. But the idea of setting high expectations and obviously modeling the beliefs and the actions that you want them to take, but setting high expectations, giving them the support for them to achieve
Mm,
that, but making sure that they know with every ounce of their
mm,
heart and soul that even if they don't meet those expectations, you will always love them. I feel like
absolutely.
is a good balance of I'm going to push you to be your best, and I love you even when you're not your best.
Absolutely. That requires communication.
Yes.
Right, just open dialogue and communication. I talk to my kids not as if they're children,
Mm,
and I don't talk down to them.
mm,
I mean, I'm not perfect. I have moments, of
of
course,
course.
but overall, my strategy and goal is to really communicate with my kids and guide them. And I also want to be there for them, but I'm not their best friend at the same time. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I'm there for you. Like I am your person. I'm
Yeah.
always going to be your person, but I'm also going to tell you the truth, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to discipline you the way you need to be disciplined. I'm going to guide you. I don't really need to discipline them. They're older and they're good kids. But I'm going to guide you. And I'm going to tell you when you mess up, and I'm going to tell
Mm-hmm.
you why, and I'm going to tell you what you can do better the next
Mm.
time. And I'm going to make sure you feel that love every time. I mean, my girls, they feel my love. They feel my
Yeah.
love no matter what. I know they feel my
Yes,
love, and
they
I
do.
make that so abundantly clear. But they also know that I mean business,
Mm-hmm.
and I have high expectations for the way they conduct themselves, for the way they present themselves, for the way that they treat people. At this point, I feel like I have less of that with them. I don't have to do that as much. I feel like I did a lot of the legwork, and now
Yeah.
they're just, now I'm trying to continue to build their confidence
Mm.
because they're entering into these years that are very challenging. And so for me now, it's like, okay, they're good little humans. They have really good hearts. Like they care. They have a good moral compass.
Yeah.
It's there. It's embedded. So now it's more of how can I continue to challenge them, but make them feel like they are so capable, you know?
Do you ever have conversations with them about like if you mess up or if you make a
Oh,
mistake, and do you say like, "Hey, this is what I did, and this is how I'm going to improve going forward"? Is that
I say I'm sorry quite often. I say I messed up quite often. Like if I, oh, like last week, Lane, her room was a disaster, a disaster. And we have a rule. Like I'm like, by this time, you can have your room a disaster. You know how crazy I am about being neat, right?
Yes, I know.
So her room was a disaster. And I said, I gave her a half an hour warning earlier. You know, like, did you clean your room? Yeah, yeah, it's good. I'm like, is it my expectations good? Is it to my level good or is it to your level good? She's like, yeah, it's yours. And I came up, I'm like, you know, and I was just upset, you know, and I was in that tired. I was like exhausted. It was a long
Yeah.
day. And I was like, enough. Like, I can't, you know, I'm not going to babysit you on this anymore, you know, my thing. And then I paused for a minute. I was like, that was a little much. Like, that was a little above what needed to be. And I sat on the bed and I looked at her and I said, I'm disappointed that you didn't get done what you said you were going to get done. I could have handled that a lot better. I'm like, I
What'd
shouldn't have.
she say?
It like breaks your heart. She's like, it's okay. I understand. You have a lot on your plate. You're
She's
doing
so
great. They
sweet.
both, it's okay. And she'll say, of course. She always says, of course, mom. I get it. It's okay.
Oh my
And then I'm
gosh.
like, God, I feel even worse, you know? Like yeah, every time, but I want to mirror that. I am not perfect, and I always want to mirror that I acknowledge pretty quickly, by the way, very quickly, like
Yeah.
within minutes. I don't wait till like the next day
Right.
and say, okay, the way I acted, I overreacted. I like immediately, you know that.
You know
When you do
immediately,
it and you're
yeah.
like, oh, shoot, that was a little much, or I could have handled that betterly, or I could have done that in a way that was more supportive. And I acknowledge it immediately and I look them right in the eye and I'm like, I'm sorry. You know that?
I
And
love
it's
that.
so hard to do that sometimes because you're still ticked off.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and you're like, but I want to do that quickly because I want to show them, even in those moments that you feel so stern and so like steadfast in your opinion and you're pissed off and your anger, I'm like, you still can acknowledge when you're not necessarily
Yes.
right.
It's so
And being able
important.
to say that. So I'm like, I'm a little angry, but the way I handled that, I could have done better. And I apologize. You didn't
That's
deserve
so
that.
important for
So,
everybody,
yeah.
not just children. That's
Right.
for everybody to be able to be like,
Yeah.
even if you're still angry, even if you're upset, be like, I took that too intense. I went
Yeah.
from 0 to 10. I should have taken that from 0 to 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you know it. Like
Yeah.
we all know it immediately. Like, oof.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that. And then in life, there are, I show them the mistakes I've made specifically in business. I was like, so you
Smart.
see this? I'm like, this didn't go well because I didn't do this, this, and this. And sometimes it's my fault and sometimes it's not. But I'm very big on, I don't want them to think it's smoke and mirrors.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want them to understand that, what they see and what we have and all the stuff, it's hard. It's hard work, you
Yes.
know? And it's sometimes, I mean, the other day I had, I don't know if you saw, but I scratched my brand new wood floors.
I did see that. My wife was like, my wife almost messaged you because I scratched our brand new floors, and she was like, "Oh, trust me, I get it."
I mean, I was trying to move a big box. I'm a single mother. I live by myself with my 2 girls, and I had this box, and I tried to do it all, like, right? And I'm trying to move this heavy box, a bar stool I ordered that broke, that I got a replacement. I'm like, oh, so I'm like moving this box, and all of a sudden I hear, I'm like, please no. I didn't want to look down, Jordan. I'm like, so I look down, and I'm like, I look behind me, and there's this huge, and my beautiful brand new wood floors. I'm like,
And it goes the entire way.
the foyer, nothing you can hide, no furniture can hide
Yeah.
it. It's like abundantly, clearly scratched right in.
I saw that and I was like, ooh.
So I had a moment, and just Lee was home, she's sitting there doing her homework, writing her essay, and I'm like, I just screamed, right? I just was like, I just let it out, and then I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, you don't have to say you're sorry. I get it. I just had that moment, and it was like a culmination of so many things. I went into the garage and I had a big cry. Like I
Yeah.
just had a cry. And I wasn't like sitting there feeling sorry for myself. I was just kind of like, God, sometimes it would be really nice to have a partner and not do all of this by myself. Like sometimes it'd be really nice just to have a guy around here to like help me out and lift up the big box and like, and I'm dealing with all this stuff with work and the kids. And I'm just like, it was just an overwhelming moment. And I just let myself have a cry. And I came back in and I didn't hide it from her. Right. I didn't like sob in front of her, but I didn't hide it in front of her. She came in, she saw me and she knew I was emotional and she just put her arms around me and she just held me,
That's sweet.
And I want her she sees how strong I am, but I also think it's important for them to see that sometimes I'm not always so strong. Right. And sometimes it's overwhelming for me too. Like that feeling doesn't go away when you become an adult. There's still those moments. So
You're an incredible mother. You're doing great job.
Trying.
Is there anything, because I saw that they saw you dedicated the book to them, and that was a wonderful video.
That was emotional.
Have they read it, and do they incorporate any of these things into their lives?
Yes, they're reading it. So my older one is right now. They have a lot of books they have to read for school right now. So the last thing they really want to do is read their mom's book. But it was interesting. When I opened the book, I didn't tell them that I dedicated it to them. Lee just saw it. And then, we all had an emotional moment. And I said, if that's all I get out of this book is that moment with my daughters, like them feeling like a goosebump, them feeling that pride.
Yeah.
If that's it, then I did good.
They'll have that book in their bookshelves forever.
Yeah, they're very proud, which is all that matters. Honestly, that's it. At the end of the day, that's like all that matters is I'm making my kids proud. So yes, there are some principles in the book, specifically the Mind Up philosophy.
What is that?
So the Mind Up philosophy was something I developed during my separation and my divorce, and it was a survival technique for me to actually physically like stand up every day. Essentially, I have an app on my phone, and I record 5 different affirmations of things that I'm grateful for, and specifically things that I'm grateful for that haven't happened yet, but I speak to it as if it already happened. So I'm grateful I'm a best-selling author. I'm grateful that my daughters got into their dream college, or I'm grateful I'm standing on a stage presenting in front of a group of women that I'm empowering, and I'm all these things. I'm grateful I found a life partner that adores me, and all these things that I want, and they change. But during my divorce, I found the app. I'm not a crystal chakra kind of girl. I'm just like a do the thing, like get it done.
Yeah.
And but during that time, I was like reaching for anything. I truly was like figuring out how to survive every day, how to take a breath. And I found that app and I started to do it. And it felt so stupid. I'm like, I am blah, blah, blah. I'm so grateful. And the sound of your voice, first of all, is just like, you don't want to hear it, but I did it. And then I listened to it and I re-listened to it and I closed my eyes and I visualized myself being that person who's saying that in the future. And I think about that. And in the beginning, I was replaying that every time I felt like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this. I don't see the light. I would play it, close my eyes, focus. it would shift me. It would like shift my perspective. I would like mind up, right? It'd take me out of that low point and I would take me to the higher point. And I'm telling you 5-10 times a day in the beginning. Now it's like a few times a month I do it. Sometimes more, sometimes less. And then it developed into a household thing. So you'll learn this very soon, but you go through a phase where you're teaching your kids and you want them to hear everything. And the girls would roll their eyes and be like, not another lecture, not another lecture. So what I did was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Every time I want you to get out of this like negative mindset and I want you to focus on something good, a positive mindset. I'm like, I'm just going to say mind up. That's all I'm going to say. And here's what it means. And then I explained to them like what it meant. And I'm like, I'm not going to lecture you. I'm not going to give you all the speeches. I'm not going to do all the things. I'm just going to say mind up. And that was it. And that's been in our household. So if they're getting to that point, I'm just like, Lane, mind up, girl, mind up. And then she has a moment where she just stops and it shifts. It's just like this little shift.
I love that.
And now I just go sometimes like when we're out, I'm like, I don't have to say it. I'm just like, mind up, you know?
2 words have a lot more meaning.
It's
like there's a lot more. She hears mind up or she sees you pointing to your head. And while it's technically only 2 words or just a gesture, the conversations you've had prior to that, there's so much meaning to it. And there's so much thought and nuance. And it reminds her to go inward and to think about it. I love that.
And to reset.
Yeah.
You know, but they spiral.
And I think that's even more powerful than another lecture because another lecture is just being told and spoken at.
Exactly.
Whereas when you can go inward and do it to yourself.
Yes.
And you can speak to yourself and encourage yourself and find your why, that I think is a much more powerful and practically applicable tool, not just for children, but for everybody.
That's exactly it. It's for everybody. I found that tool to be my saving grace, and I've found it to be very helpful for the girls.
You said perfectionism is causing more harm than good, especially for busy moms. Explain.
I'm sure that your wife could relate to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think in our culture we have this unattainable, unsustainable idea of what it means to be a woman, to be a mother, to be a business owner, to do it all, to have it all, and to do it perfectly, right? And by perfectly, I mean, you know, your household's great, your job is great, you're happy, your marriage is great, your business is thriving, your kids are wonderful, everything's perfect. Oh, and by the way, you look amazing too, right? You haven't aged a bit. Like, and we just have this expectation that we have to do everything so well, so perfect. And we put that on ourselves. And society puts it on us, but we also internalize it and put it on ourselves. And I'm like, we need to shake this up. We need to stop this conversation from happening and continue to focus on just being a whole person. And that doesn't mean you have to be perfect. So I think you can focus on excellence, right? You can focus on doing things very well and being present and being your best, but having to be perfect and expecting women to be perfect, we gotta change this narrative.
This is a quote from a long time ago. Okay. But so
From me?
Yeah, from you. You had said being ready is not a feeling, it's a decision.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that one too. I haven't heard that one in a long time. You went back deep.
I went back very far.
Yes. I think that you have to be very cognizant and intentional with how you show up in the world. And this is that lesson is what I teach my girls. Try to every single day. I need a new little something for that, so I don't have to repeat that lecture on a regular basis. I think that a lot of times people just show up and expect things to happen, right? I think people just show up and expect the world to move or to evolve. And from my perspective, is like you have to make that decision of what you want in this world, and then you have to figure out how you are going to go after that. You and I talked about this a little bit about, looking back, like you were saying, looking back 5 years ago. You probably didn't say, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want my life to be. You couldn't maybe articulate that exact life that you were living, but you knew you wanted big things and you knew you wanted greater things and you knew you were super ambitious and you knew you were going to go after it. And so you took small moves to kind of get there. So you have to show up and you have to give that intentional work.
Do you ever struggle? Like you wake up and you're just like, ugh,
yes,
I don't want to do this.
Yes.
How do you, because you are unbelievably relentless.
Yeah.
Like you're relentless.
Yeah, I am. I'm relentless.
How do you do it?
I think part of it is just who I am. Truly, I think I've been this way since I was a kid. Like if you ask my mom, she was like, "You were wired this way, like from your young age."
Is your mom like that too or no?
Not in the intense way I am. My mom like is super ambitious, goes after things, but she's like, "You were born confident." Like she's like, "You came out of the womb confident." She's like, "I had to humble you." So she does. She always says that. And I think I just believed in myself from a very young age. And I just am wired to feel like I'm meant to do some pretty cool things in life, and I'm not satisfied very easily. So like even last night, I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. I need to accomplish more. I need to be more. I need to like, and maybe it's not always healthy for me, honestly, because I feel like I'm never fully like satisfied. I always want more. And something I struggle with. It's actually like, I think it's a weakness and a strength.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that you're always looking for more? Do you ever feel like you struggle to just be happy in this moment?
No, because I'm happy.
Right.
I think about that. I ask myself that question. I'm like, am I not happy? No, I'm really happy and I'm proud of the things I've done, but I still feel like there's so much more I need to do in order to feel like I've hit that mark where I can say, yeah, girl, you actually did it. And I'm not there.
Do you
know.
feel like you'll ever get there?
I wonder. I wonder. I do. I wonder. I ask myself that on a regular basis, you know?
But what do you think it would take objectively? Looking into your future?
I don't know, because it's not a monetary thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, oh, I have to make this kind of money or sell a company for this kind of money. I don't know. And I've given it thought. I really have tried to think about like what is it, Andrea, that's going to actually get you to a point that you feel like you made it, you did it.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know. And I feel like I always have an answer for something. And this is something that is, it's been a challenge for me.
You know, you said earlier, just a few minutes ago, you said the most important thing is just making sure your kids are proud of you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever think that like that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
If I'm being honest.
I only want you to be honest.
Like,
That's what we're talking.
I could sit here and be like, that's all that matters in the world. And if I just have their pride, then I'm fully satisfied. No.
Okay.
I want that. If I don't have that, then I could never be satisfied.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. If I didn't have their pride, then I no matter what I did on the other side would make me feel good.
Yep.
Having that pride is everything,
Yep.
but I need more.
That's fair.
But I need
That's
more.
a fair assessment. I love that.
And I've always known that about myself,
Yeah.
you know, and I sometimes envy, you know, my friends that are more satisfied in the daily simplicities. And I love the simple things in life. Like I have, you know, extraordinary ordinary is my mindset. Like I actually stop and look at the leaves. I'm like, that is amazing the way the leaves are looking.
I do that
like,
so often.
I look at everything in life. I really do. Like I don't just preach that. Like my kids will laugh because I'm always like, look at the clouds today. Look at the sunrise. Look at our backyard. And I say on a regular basis, how lucky are we? Like how lucky are we? You know, and I feel that. I really do. I feel it deeply in my soul. So I don't feel like I'm unsatisfied in that sector. I just feel like I have more to accomplish in my career.
And it's a different category.
It's a completely different category.
I like that. That's fair.
And I don't think it has to always be like, you know, I think sometimes you're like, well, look at everything you have. You should be so happy in this. And I am so happy in that.
Yeah.
But I also still want more.
And there's more.
And there's still more.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Separately, I also very frequently catch myself, and I get my friends tease me about it, but sometimes I'll look at like a fire in a fireplace and I'll be like,
oh my God, I love fire.
That's incredible. Like, is that not wild to you that we could just like have fire like that that is possible here?
Yes.
That like if I don't know, I think it's like magical. And I know people are like, it sounds ridiculous.
No, it's not.
If you really think about it, you've got this burning flame that it's unbelievable, and
what it can do,
and we can take it for granted because we can just go like tick 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 tick, put it on in the stovetop. We just take it for granted that, and then you could carry a Bunsen burner with you and go on a hike, and boom, you've got fire wherever you want. And the fact that we live here in this world that you like everything that you have, that the fact that like grass comes out of dirt, and like it's just to me it's crazy. It's crazy.
But see, that's the mindset that I'm trying to raise my children with.
Yeah.
And I think life gets so crazy and it spirals so quickly and everything's happening so fast. And that is, my goal is to never lose that. I don't ever want to lose that.
Yeah.
Like to me, sitting on the grass, just laying down on the grass and looking up at the sky is one of my favorite things in the world to do. Right? Being in nature with the mountains, with the water, like that is what fuels me.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a city girl. I love to go to the city and that gives me the same kind of fuel and energy. But it's interesting when you take a moment to stop and just actually see the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Yeah.
It changes your mindset. And I always say to my girls, put your they think I'm an idiot. I'm like, put your glasses on, put your extraordinary glasses on. Look at the world a little differently. If they're being like, if I feel like they're losing their gratitude a little bit, I'm like, you better put those extraordinary glasses on. They're like, oh my God, Mom.
They get embarrassed. They're like,
well, yeah,
oh,
because I haven't changed that same speech for a long time. I should evolve it as they get older. Yeah.
After getting divorced and becoming a single mother, what did you struggle with most, and how did you still find time for yourself to exercise, eat well, etc.?
Yeah. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be doing life solo. It just wasn't in my plans. And I don't think it's in anybody's plans, right? You don't go into marriage thinking that it's going to fail. But I think what I discovered, and I'm grateful for in hindsight, is how capable I am and how I had to step into very different roles and wear different hats. I mean, when you're a single mom, you're doing it all. Like, you're running the household, you're paying the bills, you're playing mom and dad.
I don't know how you do it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I have moments, and then you're carpooling everybody to everywhere, and you're running a business, and there is a lot. But I look back and I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I really take time for myself. I do. Like, I take time for myself, and I don't feel guilty, and I tell my girls why it's necessary. So whether it's like, I'm taking a bath, I'll help you with that in a moment. I need a good half an hour to myself. I shut the door and I take that half an hour to myself. Like, I really am aware of what my needs are too. And I don't feel selfish about it. And I don't feel that mom guilt about it. And I make sure that the girls understand why I need it, just like they need their own time. And I do that. And that's a part of the survival technique, right? In order to feel like you're not just surviving, but you're thriving in life.
What specifically did you do to set time aside for exercise? Because that, for me, the majority of my inner circle members are women, about like 70% or so. And there are a significant number of, never mind single mothers, but just mothers. I think they struggle to find time to exercise.
Yeah.
And we could talk about nutrition as well, but I'm really focused on, like, what do you do? Do you make your workouts more brief? Like, is it higher frequency and lower duration? Like, how do you find the time as a single mother, especially when your girls were younger and needed you more? How did you find that? What did you do to make sure that you didn't lose your focus on making sure you're giving your body exercise?
Well, first of all, I feel like they need me more now, which is funny. It's interesting. Yeah, in different ways. So I feel like it stays that way. Like, it doesn't change, right? I think until they leave the house, maybe.
Yeah.
But what I did was I scheduled it like I would schedule a meeting. Okay. So for me, it was non-negotiable. I made it non-negotiable. There was no excuses. It's non-negotiable unless I'm sick, and unless something really big happens. I'm getting my movement in, because it's my therapy, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I have to move my body to feel good. And I know that about myself. And so I would schedule it, and it was non-negotiable. Like, that's the biggest thing. It sounds simple, and it sounds like, okay, just no. Do you brush your teeth every morning?
Yeah. Non-negotiable.
Yeah. Like, it's non-negotiable. Just like we teach our kids, you have to brush your teeth every morning. We need to take on that same type of initiative and do it ourselves. Also, I give myself grace, meaning if I can't get to that studio or I can't do my hour-long workout, I'm okay with doing 30 minutes. I'm okay with doing 15 minutes. I'm okay with doing 10 minutes. There are some days that I'm doing just a little bit of my movement snacks, and I maybe do a few 5-minute segments throughout the day, because that's really all I either have the bandwidth for or the emotional bandwidth for that day. And that's okay too. But I get my movement in regardless. So I have flexibility.
Something.
I do something every single day.
Even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even if
I say 5 minutes, I'm always going to do more.
Of course.
So, like, that's the thing. That's my thing. I'm
Yes.
like, I'm going to dedicate 10, like, for example, with the book, I created 10-minute workouts. 10 minutes.
I love that.
So if you buy the book, you email me, you get all free workouts.
I love that.
10 minutes. Now listen, those 10 minutes
Brutal.
they deliver right after 10 minutes. You're like, holy shit, how does
But
this
it's not
only
like
10
you're
minutes?
jumping around. You're not burpees.
Nope.
It's focused,
It is
deliberate
focused.
movement.
It is focused.
Methodical.
It's Pilates, methodical.
I love that.
Right? It's strength and resistance
I love
with
that.
your own body.
Yes.
And that's what it's focused on. And it's focused on also educating you how to optimize your body weight in order to optimize your muscle expenditure and endurance and strength and all of those things. And it's done in 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, you're like, what just happened, right? You feel it. You actually feel like you feel the heart. You feel the glutes. You feel your core. And you're like, oh, I just did 10 minutes. And it takes away that barrier to entry. It breaks through that like excuse wall, right? Of like, I don't have 10 minutes. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
We all have 10 minutes to
Yes.
move our bodies,
Correct.
right? We all do. And knowing that, you kind of get out of that psychology of finding excuses. It's only 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I can do it. And then once you do that, you're like, wait, that felt good. I'm
feel
going to do
better
another
now.
one.
Yes.
You know, and,
Yes.
and maybe in the beginning you don't do another one. Maybe for the first 3 months you're only doing 10 minutes a day.
Which
I
is
don't
great.
care. You're
Awesome.
consistent.
Yes.
And then after a while you add on. So like we just did our first Small Moves Big Life challenge. It was 6 weeks long, 10 minutes every single day. And I had a lot of women in there. We had about just shy of 1,000 members. And
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they were like, a lot of them had been working out. Half of them had been working out with me for years and been doing more intense workouts. And then half of them were like brand new or coming back to movement. And all of them were like, thank God I had this because I was going through a hard time and I couldn't move, but I did the 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I finally learned that I can be a person that is that person that works out every
Yes.
single day. You know, and I think a lot of the times we think it's all or nothing or you have to spend 2 hours in the gym. And so I'm trying to really help people, specifically women, feel like they are absolutely 100% capable and worthy of that 10 minutes.
Yeah. Now, you brought up Pilates, and I know there are some of my listeners who will think this, so I want to discuss this.
I know what you're going to say.
I think you might know exactly what I'm going to say. So, my end of the fitness industry is very much under the notion that strength training can only be with very heavy weights.
Yes.
And that if you're not lifting very heavy weights, it doesn't count as strength training. And they discard things like Pilates and Barre and da-da-da. And number one, I always say it's like, okay, have you ever seen a gymnast or have you ever seen a dancer or a figure skater? Like, do you know how fucking strong these athletes are? It's unbelievable. But I want to ask you, what do you say to people who hate on something like Barre or Pilates as saying that it's not strength training and it doesn't make you stronger, especially when these people have never even tried it?
It's funny because what you just said is exactly what I say. Have you ever seen an ice skater, an athlete, a gymnast, a dancer? Have you ever seen a weak
Never. You can't.
athlete in that capacity? No.
I think they are the
strength
strongest pound for pound.
So people used to say that like when I would work out with some of these athletes that I trained, like I trained a linebacker, okay, for years, and he'd bar with me and it would humble the hell out of him.
Yes.
And he was the epitome of strength, right? When you looked at him, but he couldn't actually hold some of the positions that I was holding, right? And it was because he had a different level of strength and a different kind of
It's a
strength.
different type.
And I don't think there is a right or wrong. I'm not in the right or wrong. I'm not like, you should only do Pilates. You should only do weightlifting. This is better. This is better. No, it's all there for you and it's all amazing.
Yes.
And you can incorporate what feels good for your body. And I think
Yes.
variety there is key. You know, like if you like to lift, I think you should. I think it's great. There's tremendous benefit. And I also think of the same notion, don't discard something like Pilates and Barre
Yes.
and think that it is less than because you don't know unless you do it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And the two actually together are the most beautiful
Amen.
marriage in the world. When you
Amen.
can do both and combine those two, that is it. Because you're really focusing on the whole body and you're
Yes.
building strength in an equal way. And I really am big on, I want you to do what you enjoy doing and what feels good on your body.
Yes.
Challenging, but feels good,
Yep.
right? Like if I'm not going to tell you, go do some crazy CrossFit class because that's going to make you look the best. Because you're not going to like it. It's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be great for your joints and ligaments. Like, what do you like to do?
Yes.
And why are you working out, right? We want to be strong. We want to have longevity in that strength. We want to
Yes.
be able to, I moved houses and I was picking up boxes. And I'm like, this is why I work out, and
Yes.
I'm a little bitty thing. Like, I'm a little bitty thing. And I still am pretty damn strong. Like, people are
Very,
surprised because you
very
look at me and I'm not like, but I'm strong.
Yes.
And my girls are always like, Mom, how are you doing that? How are you moving that? I'm like, that's why I work out, And so I think there's balance. And I'm
Yes.
tired. Someone just posted, and I won't name, but someone just posted and said, Pilates is not strengthening. on a post.
Infuriates
It infuriated me. I didn't comment. I just sat back and watched it, and I read the comments, and I thought, this is what's wrong with society, is that we are telling everybody it's black or white.
Yes.
We are saying this is good or bad. This is what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Where's the common sense?
Correct. I completely agree with you. I 100% completely agree with you. And unfortunately, the way that social media works is the posts that get people angry
You just posted about
are
this.
the posts that are going to get the most engagement, which
most
means that the
controversial.
algorithm is going to
Correct.
push those posts more,
Gosh.
which means more people will see them, and then more people will be negatively influenced by them. And we see this both in literally everything, politics and fitness and all of that. For me, what I've always struggled with the fitness industry is that, like with politics, it gets very cliquey. And it's
clicky.
very like you're either this side or that side.
I believe this.
Yes.
I believe that.
You either strength train the way that I strength train, or you're doing it wrong.
That's exactly
That's
it.
how it is.
Or you suck.
Yes, that's exactly it is.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that I love about, and over the last few years, I've been incorporating more Pilates-based movements.
I know. I've been loving it. Stretching.
Number one, holy shit.
Stretching.
The soreness is very different than the soreness that you get from, listen, I deadlifted 4 times my body weight. Like I squatted 3 times my body weight. Like I know soreness from compound lifts.
Of course.
But the soreness that you get from these smaller movements that really focus on your tendons and your ligaments and your capsules, the joint capsule, it's the deep level of soreness, and then the subsequent strength that I've been able to build and maintain my other strength. If I'm having moments where I'm not focusing on the heavy lifts, when I do come back to them, the strength is still there, and I feel much more resilient to injury because my joints are stronger, my tendons are stronger, my ligaments are stronger. It's the addition of this to my training, I think, has made me feel better, move better, perform better. And it's just, I think it's a disservice and a shame that people will just blanketly hate on it, especially without trying it.
Or giving it a go consistently.
Yes.
And without a bias.
Yes.
Entering it without a bias, right? Like they'll go to one Pilates class and they'll say, oh, that wasn't for me, or this was, you really have to go into it with the hope that it is something that can be of value.
Yeah.
But I love that you said that, because I used to work with 2 women that used to come to my studio in Boca Raton, and they were professional competitive lifters, okay? And they heard about my workout. They came in from Miami, and they did the workout for a couple weeks, and then they came back to me like, this is changing things for me. They're like, already in 2 weeks. And then they came 3 times a week. And that was like part of their conditioning. And they discovered the exact same thing that you said. They were like, I can lift better. I feel like I'm more cognizant of like how I'm lifting and using my body in a different way. And everything feels like it's lubricated more, like it's flowing better.
Yeah.
So I agree. And just like I say to my clients who are like, I don't want to lift because it's going to bulk me up. I say the same thing. I'm like, come on, we're not having that conversation anymore. We're not even going there. Go lift. See if you like it. Does it feel good? Do you feel strong? Doesn't that feel good to feel strong?
Yes.
Feels good to feel strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you strength train with weights as well?
I don't.
You don't now right now?
I don't consistently.
Okay.
No. Well, what you would consider heavy and what I consider heavy are
That's okay, but it's all
different.
relative.
Yeah, like for me, I've got 10 and 15s at home, and that's what I use. So I'm not doing like super heavy.
Yep.
But I'm doing heavy for me. Like I'm doing lower reps and heavier weight in my capacity. But I have some issues in my cervical spine that I'm not supposed to be lifting, but I still do. So just not heavy.
Not right now.
Not right now. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you in the framing of an overrated or underrated.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so overrated or underrated?
I like this.
Ankle weights.
Oh, ooh. Do I have to just say overrated or underrated?
No, give nuance.
Okay.
Give nuance.
I think underrated, abusively used.
Interesting. I love it. All right, go off. Tell me.
So I feel like people throw in ankle weights and they go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, God, your hips are screaming right now, okay?
Yes. I would rather they wear a weighted vest than the ankle
upper
weights
body,
for that.
Correct. Like, and swinging their hips. And so, and I also think for my workout specifically, they'll throw them on before they know what the exercise is. And I've already given them appropriate reps according to non-ankle weighted movement.
Yeah.
And they're just not strong enough to hold the form and technique. And it's going to be detrimental to their technique and form. And then they're going to feel things they shouldn't be feeling in their lower back and their hips and their knees and all that kind of stuff. But when used appropriately, like I have workouts that are just ankle weight specific. Oh, that simple, tiny little thing is so powerful.
It's unbelievable.
Resistance bands and ankle weights.
Yep.
I typically don't leave home without. Like I have them in my suitcase, always a resistance band and always an ankle weight. Like it, to me, you throw that on, I can do a fold over series. I can fire off my glutes so quickly and so powerfully, and it doesn't require much.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of the people listening who are more focused on traditional strength training hear like ankle weights and like, really?
These little puny little things.
I deadlifted well over 500 pounds, squatted well over 400 pounds. It's not about the totality of the weight. It's about the leverage and the way you're positioning your body and using that weight. And dear Lord, these little ankle weights, when I first started doing this stuff, I couldn't use them. It was a 5-pound ankle weight was too much for me. And I just had to learn how to control, and I had to get access to a big enough range of motion first before I could use the ankle weight.
Yes.
And then once I got access to the bigger range of motion, then I could start trying to add those weights. And dear Lord, 5 pounds is fucking devastating.
I can't do 5 pounds. I don't do 5 pounds. I'm 3 pounds. Like 3 pounds is my max for form for me.
Yeah. I mean,
like unless I'm doing only really minimal reps, then I can. But yeah, I cannot tell you enough or stress enough how awesome those little things are.
The hip strength that has come from it, like the hip strength.
Hearing that.
And it's funny.
That's what I preach all the time is the hip strength.
It's a different type of strength as well. It's a different type from the heavy weightlifting.
Okay.
Like I'm obviously very strong in my glutes and my hamstrings and all of that, my lower back, all of that. But when we're looking at, like, for example, isolated hip internal rotation or hip external rotation or doing like a leg lift with the hip flexor strength. And I think a lot of the reasons that people will have low back pain, that people will have many issues or hip pain or any number of issues comes from weakness in the hip flexors, not actually tightness.
Agreed. I do a little test. I always do a test with people and they're like, "Oh, my hips are I'm not flexible." I'm like, "I don't know if you're inflexible or you're just weak."
Yes.
Yeah. And I always have them do a standing position and hold their leg up in a knee lift kind of position. And I'm like, let's see where you're at.
Yep.
Is it tight or are you just weak?
Yes.
And you can figure that out. But I agree with you. I think most of the time we get into this rhetoric, which is true. We sit a lot, right? Yep. We sit a lot. We're in flexion constantly. So yes, there is some flexibility concerns there, but a lot of it is strength.
Yes.
A lot of it is strength. And a lot of it can be fixed with strength.
Correct.
Not just flexibility.
Well, I mean, I very much fell for we're sitting down a lot, so you must be inflexible. But it's not like I'm tensing here while I'm sitting down. It's just I'm just not strengthening it, and I don't strengthen it through a full range of motion.
Correct.
That's all it is. Like we sit like this, for example, with our arms tucked in. It doesn't mean my biceps are tight.
That's a great analogy.
Right? It's if you don't train it through a full range of motion, then you're going to be weak.
Yes.
And so with the hip flexor stuff, and I've been incorporating a lot more pike stuff and single leg lifts and double leg lifts, and the inner circle stuff is just a superset. So we'll do like a big compound movement, and then we'll do this smaller, more isolated movement.
God, that's like the perfect training right there.
It's combining best of both worlds. And the amount of strength that I feel like I've improved how my back feels and I encourage everyone, if not taking one of your Xtend bar classes,
jumping into that.
Try a Pilates, try one of these things. I mean, it's devastating.
I will say that's what I love the most about you, because I've known you for a long time now. I love the evolution of the way you approach everything in life.
Thank you.
But specifically on that, because you have never been this is the only way, this is the best way. And you're very open to saying, guess what? I tried something new, and actually, I completely changed my thought on this. This is how this actually worked for me at this time. And I think that's what every industry is about, but specifically our fitness and wellness industry. Like, I might not feel the same way I did 5 years ago, and I might have developed something new or tried something new and completely changed my mind on something, and that's okay.
Yes.
It's not right or wrong. It's just learning.
If you're not changing your mind over time, like, I don't think that's a good sign.
On anything.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, certain things, yeah. But yeah, agreed. I think you have to be open to that. And I've always loved that about you. And I've always just sang your praises on that.
What nutrition myth pisses you off the most?
I think what pisses me off the most would probably be the most. I'm talking about the most because there's a lot.
Yeah.
Is like this whole philosophy that you can't eat a grape because it has too much sugar, or
Yes.
you can't eat a strawberry because it has too much sugar. The common sense approach to eating has been just completely derailed, and I get annoyed by that. Like if I'm posting something, I'm eating something that is supposed to be high in sugar, or I won't eat that, and it's a real whole food.
Yes.
I'm like, have you lost your mind? Like, have you actually lost your mind? Like, here's the thing. I did one of those, I won't name it, but I did one of those blood tests
Yeah.
to kind of understand my body. I do them often. And it came back and it said, you know what it told me to avoid? It told me to avoid eating blueberries.
Stop.
This is like a high functioning, heavily priced, well respected, company.
And they said,
And-
don't eat blueberries?
Yes, because, and I have to recall, I'll pull it up after and we'll pull this up, but it said something about like, and it's an anti-inflammatory, correct? Blueberries. Like, it's like the best it's like blueberries are,
They're amazing.
every oncologist will tell you
They're
anything
amazing.
that you can do is take a handful of blueberries every single day.
Yes.
And it said something about it could potentially have some type of pesticides in the
my
growing.
gosh.
And that is, so I'm thinking to myself, I know better. Obviously, you idiots. I'm going to eat blueberries every day of my life.
Right.
You can never have, but there are so many people who don't know better, who
Who then
read
get
that and
scared
go,
of blueberries.
that's my
Might
point.
as well have the Hershey's.
That
Yeah.
is exactly it. And that fear infuriates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one got fat from eating fruit.
Nobody got fat from eating fruit. Blueberries now. Oh, watch out. Watch out.
What is one health habit, and there are many, but just if you could
Yeah.
pick one, whether someone is sedentary or active,
Yeah.
that you would tell them to do to live a longer, healthier, happier life?
Oh, okay. Well, I would say, do we exclude just the 10 minutes of movement? Let's go on.
Yeah,
'cause we
let's
already
take that
talked
out.
about
Yeah.
Because my base foundation for living a better life in general is to move your body every single day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless of nutrition, regardless of mindset, meditation, all that other stuff, move your body every day. That's my foundation.
Yep.
If I'm not doing that, I'm incorporating intentional breath work.
Interesting. Okay, tell me
Intentional
more.
breath work. So this came out of, again, a hard time in my life. And I was walking down this grocery store. I was in South Florida grocery store, and I felt like my knees were buckling, and I felt like I couldn't physically like take another step. And I remember looking around, and everyone was smiling. Like I'm a Midwestern girl, so I'm like smiling back at people. And in my head, I'm going, they have no idea I'm like dying right now. Like I feel like I'm
jeez.
dying. And I grabbed on the shelf something called a smudge spray. I already told you I'm not this like crystal chakra kind of girl. And it was in that crystal chakra section. But I was like, I'm gonna grab, I don't know why. It was a smudge spray. And the smudge spray essentially meant like clear the air, right? Like get rid of the shit and like reset. I bought that smudge spray. I put it in my cart. I got home and I was just spraying it. And as I'm spraying, I'm not kidding. I mean, I remember like where I was in the kitchen, the light coming in. I remember feeling so sick to my stomach that like, how did I get here in this? How did I get here? And I took the smudge spray and I'm just spraying. And what I did unintentionally was just start to breathe. Okay. So I started to just take a full inhale and exhale through the nose. And I did it again. I sprayed and I took a breath and I started to exhale it out. And I did that for a good few minutes. Okay. That was the first day I did it. The next day I started to get that like panic anxiety again. And I was like, where's my smudge spray? I'm going to grab my smudge spray. Took my smudge spray, repeated the pattern every day, multiple times a day, repeated this pattern. Eventually I realized it was the breath, not necessarily the spray, but the spray was my, partner in it. And I started to find that power in my breath. Now I had used breath work as a dancer. Breath fuels your movement. I'd used breath work as a Pilates practitioner and teacher. I knew the power of breath in Pilates, not fully, until I started going through this. And I didn't realize how powerful breath work is in terms of mindset. Right. I mean, there's all the science behind breath work and, the vagus nerve and how you are actually getting out of the fight or flight and you're getting into the rest and digest, right? Breath work is so, so powerful. But for me, just knowing that I had this ridiculously powerful tool right here, like I didn't need a phone. I didn't need a book. I didn't need an app. I didn't need to go anywhere. I didn't need to do anything. I just needed to stop, pause, and breathe. Stop, pause, and breathe. And the power of breathing has completely transformed my life. I wake up every morning and do 1 to 2 minutes of intentional breath work every afternoon. When I'm waiting in carpool at school, I'm doing intentional breathing. And when I go to bed at night, I'm doing intentional breathing every single night.
Do you follow a certain cadence or?
So I go through this in the book. And I have a variety of breathwork options in the book because I have noticed that it's very particular. Like what one person finds as soothing or calming can be energizing and igniting for another. So I have leaned into something I call inhale and extend, and also box breathing.
I like
So
that.
box
Yeah.
breathing, I actually just interviewed a former Navy SEAL,
Yeah.
an FBI agent, and he's an incredible individual. And he was talking to us about the power of breath and how he now uses breath work, going from Navy SEALs and FBI agent to dad
Right.
and like
Yeah,
husband, and how he still needs that and the power of breath work in his everyday life and the transferable positives for both. It's incredible. So for me, box breathing and inhale and extend, I do a inhale for 4 counts, hold the 4 counts at the top, and exhale for 8. And I do that a few times, and that's it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I have 3 more questions.
Okay.
When you're looking back at your life as an athlete and someone training, not as a coach, but as doing your own training,
Yep.
what was your favorite time of your own training when you were working out? Like, what was your peak favorite time?
My peak favorite time being a dancer was a little bit different. My peak favorite time was my one-on-one time with my dance instructor, Anita. And it was when we were rehearsing for my solo. So she pushed me. She pushed me really hard, to do things that I was scared to do or had never done or tried different things. And that time for me was a discovery of capability. It was a discovery very young, very young. I started doing solos when I was 4 years old with her,
Yeah.
all the way through until I was 18. And every time I got to do that with her was an opportunity for me to discover what I was capable of. She also took me on trips, just her and I. She would take me on different trips to different dance competitions or conventions. And at these conventions, there's hundreds and hundreds of people, right? And a lot of them I would come to by myself. And she'd go, okay, I'm going into the teachers convention. You go to the other convention with the dancers. And I'd be by myself for like 2 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we'd meet for dinner and stuff, but I'd have lunch and I have to meet people.
Yeah.
I'd have to learn how to have interpersonal skills and how to figure it out. And so those times that I spent one-on-one with her were some tremendous times of growth.
What are you scared of?
Not reaching that point in my life that I feel like I have reached true success, in my opinion.
And what are you excited about?
I have so much I'm excited about. I really do. I feel like I'm really excited to watch my girls continue to grow and develop. Like, where do they go to school? Who are they becoming? Supporting their ambitions. I'm excited to see who I end up having as a life partner. And I'm excited to see where my career goes. And I'm also excited to see how many lives, I know it sounds cheesy, but I really am excited to see how many lives I can impact. Like, that's what makes me go.
When does the book go live?
October 14th.
October 14th. All right. So we will put a link in the show notes on YouTube and in Apple, Spotify, all of that. Where can people follow you?
So you can go to Andrea Lee Rogers on Instagram or smallmovesbiglife.com.
Amazing. All of that will be in the show notes. Thank you for coming on.
That was so fast. I could have talked for like another hour easily.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate it. Please go follow Andrea. Make sure you buy her book. It is absolutely wonderful. And as you can tell, she's wonderful too. So thank you for listening. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify. Give a thumbs up on YouTube. Have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon.